PHNXDbacks podcast. You thought we were going away that quickly, but we got you. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as the Corbin Carroll Observer. This is Mr. Electric Shawn, occasionally known as a Corbin Carroll aficionado. And that is Jesse Friedman, occasionally known as Corbin Carroll's personal, journalist when it comes to chronicling his career. But welcome in to the Corbin Carroll Appreciation
Why
Hour.
am I at Corbin Carroll aficionado? Just because I think he's going to win the MVP?
Just because you love him. And
You're not wrong.
Fan.
I just
wanted
to know why I was getting title.
That's why we're converting this now to it was a Manuel Rivera Stan account, which it deserves to still be, but we are a Corbin Carroll Stan account now here. Welcome into the PHNXDbacks podcast right here on PHNX. And the D-backs offense comes up big in a win over the Detroit Tigers, where apparently they needed all that offense as the Tigers decided just to start smacking home runs around left and right late in the game. But the Diamondbacks offense definitely on a roll. They've scored 5 or more runs now in their last 4 games straight. 2 of those games, they scored double-digit runs. And the big thing about this game was that big 7-run inning where the Diamondbacks were able to do that late in the game against both the starting pitcher and the bullpen. And they were, kind of put this game out of reach for the Tigers.
Yeah, there was a narrative for a while there that we talked about where the Diamondbacks score all their runs early, and then they just kind of stop scoring, and they hope that the bullpen is able to hold the lead. This was not that. The D-backs did jump out to an early lead, 1-0 in the first inning. They were able to tack on a run in the second inning. But yeah, they scored 9 runs in the last 3 innings combined. And I guess they didn't technically need all of them. They did win this game by 5 runs. But yeah, it's good to see this offense be able to pick things up late in the game. And it's good to see Corbin Carroll just continue to be even the people who were most optimistic about who Corbin Carroll could be in this league,
including us.
I don't know if anyone saw Corbin Carroll being this good this soon. Like, this is incredible. After a 3-for-5 game today, in which he hit 2 home runs, including a grand slam and a double, 307 with a 966 OPS on the season. It's insane.
I'm sure we'll talk about it later, a bit more later, but the Corbin Carroll for MVP thing is becoming less and less of a joke.
It's really not at this point.
It's not at all. Like, obviously, every time it gets brought up, Jesse is quick to bring up Ronald Acuna, and rightfully so. But at this point, it's like we're only a couple months into the season. He's forced his way there, and I mean, it was just that, but it was the opportune hitting, right? Like, having that big home run when the base is loaded, but that doesn't happen without the rest of the team loading the bases. In part because it's, the weird catcher interference thing, but still, they loaded the bases. They walked in a run, and
that was a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, there was Pavin Smith at bat, which catcher interference was called. He basically, when he swung, he got a little bit of the webbing of, I believe it's Jack Rogers, the catcher's glove. But the thing that was so important there was, that loaded the bases. Ketel Marte walks the next batter, that walks in a run, and then Corbin Carroll steps to the plate for that big grand slam. So that catcher interference call, I mean, I hate to say that the Diamondbacks have also been lucky this year, but it definitely feels like the Diamondbacks have had things going their way a bit in a lot of these games. But Corbin Carroll, man, I mean, like you said, just he's out of his mind right now. Corbin Carroll is so much actually in the MVP discussion. And I feel like we were just joking about it a few weeks ago and making comparisons to Ichiro. But I mean, obviously, with
Ichiro did not have this kind of home run power. Ichiro hit 15 home runs in his best season. In his best season as a power hitter, Corbin Carroll has 13, and it's June 9th.
And it doesn't make any sense. Like, he did hit 16 home runs in 58 games with the Amarillo Sod Poodles, but we know about Amarillo, and we say the same thing about that ballpark at Hodgetown that we do say about Reno, which is like when guys do have that kind of power, you kind of blame it on other factors and not necessarily them being able to hit home runs. But I mean, that was more home runs in less games. And so it's not like Corbin Carroll isn't capable of this, and we haven't seen it at some point in his career, but this was his first grand slam of his career, and it was also his first multi-home run game of his career. So he's just doing it.
Not as he's just doing it, but he's doing it at huge times. Like, there's obviously the walk-off last week, and like, obviously they ended up scoring 11 runs, but like, the Tigers offense had especially about Tigers offense standards, had a good game.
Oh God,
they put up 6 runs. They had an XBA over 300. But which again by Tiger standards is quite the game. But he had that grand slam at a time when the game was close with 2 outs, I believe. And then, like I mentioned, he had the walk off last week, and I mean even the home run at the beginning of the game. It gave them it opened up the game. So he's doing this at important times, which is obviously always impressive, but especially impressive for a rookie, guy that is going to, at this point, it seems that like Alex is saying in the chat, the rookie of the year conversation is finished. Obviously, it's really early in the season to say that, but he is at this point clear and away the favorite for rookie of the year. And he's it seems like daily widening that gap.
He really is, and I mean. We talked about yesterday Ellie De La Cruz, and I'm sure we're going to talk about other guys coming up. But the thing about Corbin is he just continues to do it in every possible way. Right,
and he's been doing it all year.
He is 6th in Major League Baseball in stolen bases with 18. Defensively, he's been outstanding, and the outfield we've seen him. I mean, he still has a lot to learn, and I think that his athleticism is there more so than his grasp of playing the outfield at a major league level. So
that's
defensively, I feel like he's only going to continue to get better. But I just think that this guy, he's like a combination of all the best, kind of offensive traits of some of our players, right? Like his ability to hustle, his speed is very Jake McCarthy and him are very on par with that. But like he has this Josh Rojas quality about him where he's just like this notorious troublemaker once he gets on base, and you're just going to completely be rattled by his presence. He's shown that he has power, and so far this season, as much power as Christian Walker. Defensively, he's great in the outfield. He's doing everything the right way. And I mean, again, there's a lot of names that you're going to bring up throughout the season that are rookies that have a good month or even a good couple of months. But Corbin Carroll is by far becoming the MVP of the Arizona Diamondbacks, right? And the Arizona Diamondbacks are probably, maybe you could still say the Tampa Bay Rays are the biggest surprise in baseball, but you have to put the Diamondbacks up there as one of the biggest surprises this year.
I mean, I would say the D-backs are the biggest surprise. The Rays have been a good team. They were in the World Series,
they were projected
2-3 years ago?
Right. It's just a tough division over there, much like it is in the NL West. So it's like they were projected to not be at the top, much like the Diamondbacks were. The Diamondbacks were projected in some circles to be better. Jake, we're still looking at you. But the Diamondbacks did not have people really thinking that this team could be a legitimate contender to the National League West.
Derek Hall was at opening day. He was consistently pumping the brakes.
Jesse wasn't there for when you and I went and took that tour. It was during the Advantage members, basically it was during FanFest.
Yeah.
And he met with us media, and Derek Hall because people were trying to be excited like we all are at the beginning of a baseball season. And
Derek Hall said no happiness. Is that what happened?
It wasn't that. He just didn't really want to start talking about the expectations
people
for
were
this
talking
team to be
about
competitive.
80, 90 wins or whatever. And he's like, okay, he's like, relax. And and still, I mean, again, earlier in the season, you got to see how a team responds after the All-Star break for you to, I feel like, really understand how the team is going to be for the entire season, obviously. But at this point, it's very much in a conversation, right?
Yeah.
So,
and to be fair to Derek Hall, he's been excited about teams before that didn't perform to the way that they thought that they would, right? So it's like this team is very much still very much was a wait and see kind of situation.
And I don't think that was unfair to them. I think at the beginning of the season, you would have been a little crazy to expect them to be as good as they are, both individually, some of these guys. Emmanuel Rivera has no right to be what Emmanuel Rivera is right now.
Is incredible right
and
now.
Obviously, Perdomo, especially early on in the season, was
he
an
has
enigma.
every right.
He does have a right.
Every right.
He does. Yeah, you're fair. That's right. He does
okay. Let's say even if you did think the team might be good, it's a smart tactic to get people to pump the brakes so that there's not that pressure.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when you're
team.
Derek Hall from a business perspective. You don't want the team to end up being framed as a disappointment if they don't win 80, 90 games.
Right, but it also could be seen a bit as you don't believe in them if you're not behind them early on, and a lot of people weren't. So this team very much has taken on a let's prove them wrong kind of attitude. That's the reason why Torey Lovullo is such a good man for this job when it comes to managing this baseball team. But nobody saw Emmanuel Rivera hitting 371 with a 903 OPS.
Damon did. Damon saw it from a mile away.
Right? How far do we have to lower the at bats for him to qualify? This is like 100 at bats at this point, right?
Well, it's the biggest problem.
About
Jesse
100 plate appearances.
He would have to start almost every game, right? At this point,
yeah.
But does he not deserve to? At this point,
that was the All-Star combine. conversation.
talking about
right? Whether it could be an all-star.
Yeah, we're gonna do a lot of all-star talk in this episode because we're gonna get crazy with this. But go ahead.
So can I switch back to Corbin Carroll for a second?
You know what? Please, because this entire segment should be about Corbin Carroll.
We all know that Corbin Carroll and Emmanuel Rivera are
Emmanuel
the two
Rivera.
leading
Everyone
all-star
talks about
candidates
Emmanuel
on this
Rivera. He gets his flowers. Corbin needs some
Corbin
shine.
Carroll doesn't get enough press.
So if you look in, this is an all of baseball, the slugging percentage leaderboard. All right, Corbin Carroll is 5th in baseball at 575.
What?
The only 4 players ahead of him are Aaron Judge, JD Martinez, Yordan Alvarez, and Freddie Freeman. All right.
What do all of those guys have in common?
So let me go there. So Aaron Judge is 6'7", 282 pounds. All right. JD Martinez is 6'3", 230 pounds. Freddie Freeman is 6'5", 220. Yordan Alvarez is 6'5", 225. And Corbin Carroll is 5'10", 165. So it is a beautiful
all
thing.
4 of those guys that you mentioned at the beginning would make me feel small.
Yeah.
And I would make Corbin Carroll feel small.
Yeah, I honestly tower above Corbin Carroll when I'm talking with him in the clubhouse. But yeah, and that was kind of the big knock on Corbin Carroll coming into the league. And we even talked about this on our show. How much power can a guy with that frame really have, right? We have seen players like Mookie Betts, like Jose Altuve, like Jose Ramirez. There are players who are smaller, who have a surprising amount of power. That's kind of a rising trend in this league. But even Corbin Carroll doesn't have the size that those guys have.
Yeah.
He doesn't weigh what those guys weigh.
Carroll's kind of jacked. I mean, we talked about this, especially this offseason from last offseason. You could just tell his forearms were much bigger. His frame was much bigger. He just looked like he had, but he's still a smaller guy, so he's still not going to be able to put on that much size.
And I mean, like we had talked about it. I was talking to you a little bit about during the watch along. Like the difference between those guys is that Corbin's probably not going to be in a home run derby, right? Like he's not hitting those 450. Like, oh my God, everyone needs to see this home run all the time necessarily. But if it's over the fence, it's over the fence. Like if he's doubles are doubles, home runs are home runs.
It's all based on how you hit it, right? It doesn't matter your size sometimes if you actually know how to hit the ball well. You're getting the barrel on the ball. Corbin Carroll is just absolutely seeing the ball well, and I mean, he's just had critical hits. You brought that up earlier. He had the game-winning hit, which was his first walk-off hit of his career. Now he's setting another a new career goal with getting his first multi-home run game and also his first grand slam in the same game.
I wish I could grow a goatee because I would go like Corbin goatee, like you go
like longer.
Yeah, no, I just can't. My facial hair doesn't connect.
It just doesn't connect that little gap.
Grow a real goatee. Corbin style.
I don't know if Corbin can really grow a goatee.
I mean, he's got a lot more there than I do.
He does.
He's trying, man.
I am not going to say anything bad about that man. He is our king snake, and let's throw it up there. Corbin Carroll again, 3 for 5 with 2 dingers and a double, 5 RBI, 2 runs scored, and the man is just not human.
This time last year, he was playing AAA baseball.
He was playing
maybe
AAA.
not even AAA.
He was playing. I think he might have been playing.
Yeah, that was probably right around the time that he was promoted from AA to AAA.
Yeah,
which is crazy to think about. And yeah, this year he now has a higher OPS than Ronald Acuna Jr. And yeah,
exactly where we thought it was going to go, Jesse. We predicted this during the offseason.
It's what everyone in the chat is saying. Like there does come a point when we should maybe be, and granted, it's probably too early in the season to be having either the Rookie of the Year or the MVP conversation. Less so the Rookie of the Year conversation. I think he has such an enormous lead.
And there's no one has been around no one's been able to stick around long enough to compete with him.
Although Derek stirred up so much trouble on Twitter today by tweeting out our graphic that compares Corbin Carroll's numbers with Ellie De La Cruz. After Ellie De La Cruz had played 3 games. That was fun to read through those Twitter
Especially
comments.
Because, as Derek pointed out to me earlier, if you listen to it, the first thing that's said in that video is Jesse pointing out that he's only played 3 games.
We all know how the Twitterverse works.
100%.
Nobody actually
we don't
clicks
listen
the
to
link.
videos or we don't listen to words coming out of people's mouths. We don't do any of that.
You can't assume that people are going to click the link before they just mindlessly comment on whatever they see.
We definitely can't. But what we can say is Diamondbacks legend Kyle Schwarber, according to Brad Waterman here, apparently hit a walk-off in the Phillies game against the Dodgers. So now, if you're keeping score at home,
2.5.
The Arizona Diamondbacks have a 2.5 game lead over the Los Angeles Dodgers.
The Braves are currently losing to the Nationals,
and the Dodgers are just demoralized. And the Diamondbacks continue to do it against teams that they should have done it against. They did it against those Phillies, that same Phillies team. The Diamondbacks did it. They're taking care of business against teams like the Nationals. That's one thing that when you look at what the Dodgers are happening to the Dodgers lately, and God damn it, they better not be higher than the D-backs on the power rankings next week, Jesse. But the one thing the Dodgers are not doing right now is taking care of business against teams they should be. We're seeing the Dodgers lose a lot of games, and I mean, honestly, that's one thing we don't typically see out of them is them losing games to teams that on paper they should beat.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks are the ones that are taking care of business right now.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at the box score for this game that they just lost to the Phillies, like this Dodgers rotation is kind of in shambles. It's not only Dustin May and Julio Urias, it's now also Noah Syndergaard joining them on the injured list. Noah Syndergaard was not pitching well at all before that.
Crazy.
Today, they started out with Victor Gonzalez as an opener. He went 2/3 of an inning, and then they brought in Michael Grove for 4 innings. And he gave up 4 runs on 7 hits. He was not particularly good either. They have one of the worst bullpen ERAs in baseball, which is not something I expected to see. I'm still in a place where once the Dodgers get healthy, I still think that they're going to be right up there in terms of talent with any team in the National League.
They're a dangerous team, but will they have time at that point, right? Like, we know that you ramp up your players from injury behind the scenes, right? So we know that they're going to get, back on track, but still, again, there is some time to acclimate yourself back to the game once you return from injury. And the Dodgers just have a lot of guys that are gone now, that it's going to take a while for them to be not only at 100%, but for those guys to be back and be back on track. That's some of the things we've talked about. Guys like Zach Davies. Zach Davies had a wonderful outing his last start, but things were a little bit rocky for him early on, and he's still not up to 100%. But that was a pretty damn good outing, going 7 innings and getting 8 strikeouts in his last outing. So things are looking up for the Diamondbacks as far as their starting rotation, and the Dodgers continue to go in the other direction. And it's not that I'm not super excited about that. I'm fully on board with rooting for the Phillies for the rest of the series. But after this, I am not rooting for the Phillies anymore. It's mostly because of this graphic that was going around on Facebook. What are you doing, Philadelphia? Are you really trying? What is this? Come out to Chase Field to catch the Phillies take on the Diamondbacks? This is what's happening behind our backs, Diamondbacks fans. When you wonder why there's so many opposing fans coming out to Chase Field, it's graphics and advertisements like this. Are the Diamondbacks doing this in Philadelphia? No, because it probably wouldn't work for them. But
not a lot of people moving from AZ to Philly.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's not a lot of transplants.
Not a lot of people that have moved to AZ for Philly in the last 20 years or 25 years. 25 years.
Oh, I find this graphic to be appalling.
Did this show up in your feed?
Yes, this was on Facebook, on the Facebook
feed.
Yeah.
So the Phillies have targeted Derek Montilla as a potential Philly supporter.
No.
Right?
No. I talk about the Diamondbacks a lot on there. They're giving me any Diamondbacks ads is what they're doing. Any Diamondbacks related ads. Chase Field. They know I talk about Chase Field a lot on Facebook. I'm always tagging them in there. And
Facebook knows so much about all of us.
It's the
worst. Maybe it's because you took a trip to Philadelphia last year.
The algorithm has it. Yeah, that's calculated in there. You're absolutely right. They're like, Mega Ran, so we know about him. He's a double agent, that guy. But of course, we know that the Diamondbacks are the team you need to bet on. We were talking about it during our watch along. You should be betting right now on Corbin Carroll for not only the rookie. You should have already put money on Corbin Carroll for the rookie of the year.
Worth it at this
point. I don't even know if it's worth it at this point, like you said, but it's totally worth it.
Betting on MVP, baby.
Throw on MVP. What were the odds on him for MVP?
15,000. Throw 5. Paid out 750.
That is insane.
Something casual.
15,000. It's obviously a long shot. We're not saying it isn't, but oh my God, I have hiccups over it.
It's becoming less and less of a long shot day by day.
Less and less of a long shot every single day.
The only disparity between him and Acuna at this point is stolen bases, actually. Acuna has 28 stolen bases. Carroll has 18. Outside of that, their numbers are very, very similar.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that he would have that many, but Corbin Carroll did experience a leg injury that not only caused him to miss time, but also caused the Diamondbacks to be very careful with allowing him to go full speed on the base path for a period of time. So we'll see. We'll see where that stolen base race ends up by the end of the season. But in the meantime, we have teamed up with BetMGM this season, and we'll be using their lines to make all of our picks. We have special offers for our listeners each week. Of course, every Saturday and Wednesday, don't miss your bonus bet on the house. Fans can automatically claim a bonus bet upon logging into their account. Bets expire after 72 hours, so don't wait. And they can be used on any sports wagers, so don't miss out on that. Speaking of not missing out, don't miss out for our Knockout Nights Cornhole League. It's the first Friday of every month, and we will not only be having food and beverage specials, giveaways, and BetMGM prizes, but that event is completely free, and we will be doing our shows from there. So come hang out with us, watch us do this thing we call PHNX around here, and then play some cornhole. You can watch me carry Damon's dogs over the finish line.
You're carrying us now. That can't be good.
Yeah, things aren't great. Things aren't great for this team, Jesse. You haven't been around.
We need to recruit Shawn. We need to get Shawn.
Saul and I are undefeated. Hashtag Team Light Skin. We're undefeated. So
can I just say that?
Well, that's why we need to break you up. You're too powerful.
Derek, you were scoring a lot of the points for us, but I was on the same side as Saul, and he was cashing everything as he got in a rhythm.
Saul carried.
He did.
It was crazy.
And I was just trying to play defense against Saul at the end of the day because he was just sinking every shot.
You made a good effort at it.
You're just going to step in and block it?
Yeah,
that's allowed in cornhole,
I was expecting him to like trip him or something.
There was one of Saul's was like halfway down, and I was able to knock it out somehow.
Oh, nice. It was incredible. Remember that one. That was the best shot of the entire game. But of course, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM app yet, do so before coming out to our Knockout Nights Cornhole League and use code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live. But for our Arizona audience, you will get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, make sure you use bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Well, we thank you for being here right now on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Leave us a little thumbs up. We all appreciate that when you do that. Also, if you're listening on your favorite audio podcasting app, please subscribe to us there and leave us a review. We always appreciate that feedback. Most importantly, check out gophnx.com. You can get Jesse's writing, all of it. And one way to get all of it is to get yourself a diehard membership. Not only will you get access to Jesse's full count newsletter, you will also get access to all sorts of wonderful benefits. You will get a free piece of merchandise from the PHNXlocker.com and 20% off all future purchases. You will also get a free Mountain Mike's gift certificate worth $50. So boom, right there out of the gate, plus a Dobson Ranch card. That'll give you all sorts of wonderful benefits out at the Dobson Ranch Golf Course. You get access to our members-only Discord lounge, members-only discounts, benefits with our partners, members-only invites to events, and members-only merchandise offers. So join us today and become a PHNX diehard member. Merrill Kelly continues to be extremely good at baseball, just like a lot of these guys are. Corbin Carroll, good at baseball. Emmanuel Rivera, very good at hitting the baseball. And Merrill Kelly, good at throwing the baseball. Tonight, he went 6 1/3 inning, giving up 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. Definitely not his best outing of the year, but this is a bad outing for Merrill, and that's kind of like where we're at with him and Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen does get a lot of, I guess you would say, the press or being talked about as being not only a potential Cy Young candidate, but being this team's potential all-star. But Merrill Kelly very much deserves to be put in that category as well. He currently is 8-3 with a 2.92 ERA. And he's just, I think Jesse brought it up a few days ago, but just it's kind of unbelievable at the pitcher that Merrill Kelly has turned into in his time with this team.
Yeah, I still don't fully understand exactly what's happened. I still am trying to figure out exactly how Merrill Kelly pulled this off. But he's just such a competitor out there, and he throws 6 pitches, and he can throw all of them in basically any count, and he has pretty good command of all of them, and his changeup continues to be a really good out pitch. He had 5 whiffs on that in this game. And yeah, he's just, I mean, there's a reason they call him Merrill the mainstay, right? This start 6 1/3, 3 runs, like you said, not maybe his best outing, especially against the Tigers, but still very much a start that puts you in position to win the game. Last time out against Atlanta, 7 innings, 2 runs. Start before that against Boston, 6 1/3, 1 run. He had 10 strikeouts in that game. This is just kind of who Merrill Kelly is right now, it seems like. And yeah, I mean, him joining Zach Gallen in the All-Star game is not at all a crazy idea. Like we're pretty much at the point where you probably should have Merrill Kelly in the All-Star game if he continues to perform like this over the next month. It is he's one of the better stories on this team, and he's a big part of the success they've had so far.
He's unexpectedly one of the best pitchers in baseball, and I know that you could probably make a case for a few teams, but Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly really are developing into the best 1-2 combination in baseball, at least one of the best. And to be honest, as crazy as that sounds, that's one of the keys to being able to win playoff series, right? If we get to that point, is to have that 1-2 punch that can really give you that advantage in a series. And honestly, two guys that like you can run out there multiple times in a playoff series if the need be. They don't have to necessarily go with the 5-man rotation, obviously. So I know it's crazy early to start talking about playoffs, but tonight on the BetMGM app, they were at what? Minus 175 to make
something like that.
That's like the tide has turned for this team.
Wow, the Diamondbacks are minus 170.
Yeah,
wow,
to make the playoffs. So it's like
that's crazy. That's so wild. Like if you had told any of us at the beginning of the season that the D-backs would be minus odds to make the playoffs on June 9th, that's pretty wild.
I mean, I think when I said 85 wins, that you still looked at me like I had 3 heads, right? And it was like,
no.
But you were
no,
you did
85 wins. That was one of the most reasonable predictions you've ever made on the show. I myself said like 80, 82, 83.
Yeah, and then we gave ourselves kind of a little bit of a window.
Projection? It was like 73. What was the projection?
75?
75.
Well, it depends on what you look at. Yeah,
the most important one is like John 70. Boy, Talking Jake. Who is supposed to be all about talking snakes, gave them a 75 win projection.
73 win
73
projection.
Wins. Yeah, we're still
we still have the
It was
receipts.
Under 75, right? Like that was it. It was like over under 75.
I think he was taking the under on like 74 and a half or something, and he said 73 was the exact number.
We'll never forget. We'll never forget. Does Kelly actually end up making the All-Star team? Do you think that is, I mean, I guess this comes down to like, once again, what we talked about earlier with like voting and things like that. I know the pitchers aren't voted for, but do you think that they get recognized because the pitchers don't get voted for as being, All-Star worthy?
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's gonna be pretty close. Every start for Merrill Kelly matters. He definitely Zach Gallen probably doesn't get his flowers around the league as much as he should, and Merrill Kelly definitely does not get his flowers around the league as much as he should.
For sure.
So it's maybe a little bit of an uphill battle, but I mean, if you're just looking at ERA right now in the National League among qualified starters, Bryce Elder is number 1. The Atlanta Braves at 2.26 ERA. Nobody's really sure how that happened. Marcus Stroman.
He has like 4 games though, so like I'm not right.
He's had 12 starts.
12
he's pitched basically the full season.
Okay,
he's a qualified starter.
All right.
But people are still skeptical, and I am one of those people. Marcus Stroman and Justin Steele, they're at 2.39 and 2.65 respectively. And then after those 3 guys, it is Zach Gallen at number 4 with a 2.75, and then Merrill Kelly at number 5 with a 2.92.
And that was 2.74 before.
Yeah, before tonight's game.
Before,
yeah. His ERA went up after a 3-run performance. But
that is true.
I don't know, man. I just can't believe the position that this team currently is in. And it feels real, right? Like Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen feel like they are consistently the 2 guys in the rotation that absolutely give you a chance to win. Yeah. And when we looked at the probables for this series, which we'll take a look at the remaining probables here in a moment, we knew that with Merrill Kelly being pushed back from the final game in the National Series to this series and Gallen going in the finale, that you instantly, especially against a team like the Tigers, really put yourself in a position to win the series.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not by any means going to say that Merrill's by any means better than Zach Gallen, but I would argue that over like the last however long you want to say, like you almost what you're getting more from Merrill Kelly at the very least than Zach Gallen. So like, and obviously when Zach Gallen is on, he's one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in baseball.
When he has all of his stuff working, he's much better than Merrill Kelly. But unfortunately, as of late, his stuff hasn't been a couple times where it hasn't been working, right? Yeah. So like,
it's a fair point,
which is a great situation to be in. Like if obviously, because even when his things are not working, it's not like it's not Madison Bumgarner. It's not like it's completely falling apart. Not like the D-backs have no chance of winning. So if you have that, then you have your number 2 being maybe the most consistent pitcher you have, and him being pretty damn good while he's being consistent. That is like a pretty good situation to be in as far as your 1-2 are concerned.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, as we talked about a little bit during the watch along, like Davies has been okay.
Yeah.
Tommy Henry has been like, so like you're in a very good position even beyond the top 2.
And you still,
as of right now.
and you still have options. You still have a battle going for like the 4 and 5 spots in your rotation technically. And
they
that's
don't have many options though at this point,
I know,
right?
I
mean,
know,
because Dre Jameson appears to be pretty locked into being a reliever, and Brandon Pfaadt is not pitched
it's hard to say that he
particularly
deserves
well.
to be.
So I don't actually know at this point if the D-backs really have options, which is sort of why at the trade deadline it feels like adding a starter to this team. I don't necessarily want to say is a necessity, but it seems like something they pretty clearly should do. If they want to feel comfortable about maintaining what they've done so far down the stretch.
And you bring up Dre, but his presence, again, he wasn't perfect. He didn't even have a really good outing today, but he still came in and got the job done for the Diamondbacks as far as giving them some innings, eating up some innings. And that's one thing that they really don't have from any of their other relievers is that relief pitcher that can go out there, get 3 outs, come sit in the dugout, and then go back out there and get 3 more outs. And like that, Dre's presence in the bullpen for me, and I mean, I'm just saying for me, but I love Dre, so that's probably why. But it brings a lot of peace. Like it feels like they have the weapons that they needed, and it felt very much like what Dre Jameson brings is what the bullpen was needing. Torey Lovullo couldn't keep going out there and having these 1+ guys just do 1 inning and having them pitch 4 or 5 nights, out of 6 or 7, games. And expect this bullpen to be able to last this long season. And they really don't seem like they have many options for the bullpen either outside. But that's why I'm saying at least it still feels like Dre in an emergency situation, or if he starts pitching really well and one of those other 2 guys kind of tank it, that Dre could potentially be moved up first into like maybe a opener role. And then,
I could see an opener role.
Then maybe extend it if he does well in that. Like
he's already gone from a starter to a reliever
to a starter to a reliever to a starter
and
again,
so that would theoretically be
the next step has to be that, of course.
I don't know if you could actually do that. But
I agree.
Dre didn't pitch well today, I don't think, and he didn't pitch particularly well in his last outing either. But it has felt like when the Diamondbacks really needed him, like when the game was close, Dre Jameson has been able to come through a number of times this year for this team. I remember one of the first games of the year in LA, Torey Lovullo after the game said that they won the game because of Dre Jameson.
Yeah.
And I think there are a few games this season that you could say that about. So, even though he hasn't been great overall and his whip is over 1.5, and there are some questions with Dre Jameson, I think he has been really, really good when the Diamondbacks have needed him to be. So I don't know if that's like a mindset thing, if Dre Jameson just really enjoys those spotlight moments where the game is on the line and has a little bit of a harder time in games like this where you can give up a few runs and it doesn't really matter. But he's been good either way.
Maybe that's part of the problem with him being a starter too, because you go out there and you're kind of a blank canvas and you don't really,
true.
Or maybe you get a little bit of a lead and then you don't have that same fire in your blood. But we got to figure out a way to keep that fire in his blood. There's some talk about Shane Bieber being an Arizona Diamondback. Dylan Cease.
I want.
We're on board with all of those. I do want to say this before we move on from this game. The Diamondbacks were 5 for 9 tonight with runners in scoring position. So that is just perfect to see.
Apparently, the watch along bad luck is, dare I say, dead? I don't know.
Do we address it?
Coincides with
Does it coincide with the addition to? By the way, Jesse, I don't know if you were here earlier, but this guy did the ASU podcast.
I did do the
really
podcast,
wow.
I had to fill in
the audacity,
the fucking absolute unmitigated gall.
Hand up.
Anyway,
I had to do what I had to do.
I will be stopping by Circle K on my way home, and when I go there, I'm going to tell the attendant there all about you betraying us. And I'm going to be like, I'm the guy from the gas pump thing. You should totally be on my side. But we are very excited to partner with our friends at Circle K, and of course, you should check them out for the best coffee, beer, and snack selection and premium gas. Stock up at Circle K, America's thirst stop. You can get your beer there for just $9.99, iced coffee for $1.89. Don't pay $6 for an iced coffee. Get it at Circle K. And of course, we talked about this on the watch along, but the Circle K branded snacks, they're just incredible. Give them a try and then thank us later, because they're not only going to save you money, but they're actually better than the name brand competitors. Also, don't miss out on Red Bulls 3 for $8 and Monsters 3 for $6. Make sure you're not missing out on any of this great stuff right now. Text PHNX to 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. Again, head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. And you can get your Four Peaks beer at Circle K or wherever you get your beer at. But if you want to get the official craft beer of the Arizona Diamondbacks, make sure to check out Four Peaks. They have them at Chase Field, of course, where we love to go, which is the Four Peaks draft room. Located on the suite level, you can not only get some delicious food, but of course, if you don't have a great view, maybe that's a better place to watch the game from. You can also join us for our D-backs takeovers, where we will be meeting up at the Four Peaks draft room. We got a couple of those. And of course, the biggest benefit about our takeovers has to be the fact that you do not need to wait in a very long line to potentially be disappointed by not getting the giveaway item on a Saturday night. We will be there for the throwback jersey night. So if you join us for that takeover and get early access to the game, it'll be a sweet, sweet, easy way for you to get that throwback jersey. You can follow Four Peaks and their events over at Four Peaks Brew or go to fourpeaks.com/events to stay up to date on everything Four Peaks. And make sure not to miss out everything they're doing for teachers right now with their Four Peaks for Teachers promotion. You can go to fourpeaksforteachers.org to nominate, donate, or reserve your kit. And of course, if you're a teacher, make sure to check out the 8th Street Pub every Tuesday through July. You can bring a valid teacher ID and you will receive $4 pints of Kilt Lifter Wow, Hazy, and Hop Knot. Why? Because you deserve it for all that you have done for the children and the future of this country. But check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. Mike Hazen was on Bickley and Murata today, Jesse. He made some interesting comments. Also, 98.7 went on the Fritz for a little while. Is hot. But you actually thought that he kind of expanded a bit on his interview that he did the other day talking about the trade deadline. We are going to see a very aggressive Mike Hazen at the trade deadline, are we not?
That's what it looks like. It's obviously still pretty early in this process, but yeah, this is an exact quote from that interview today. Our fans and our team deserve for us to be aggressive. Mike also talked about, specifically, he mentioned the division title and how the opportunity to win the NL West has not come along very often for the D-backs in recent years. And he feels the responsibility to go for it and to chase after that with everything that the Diamondbacks reasonably can. He did also say, as far as potentially trading away more long-term assets, he said, we need to be right. We cannot be giving away future long-term impact players for the Diamondbacks, but we are not going to shy away from being aggressive and making trades. We traded our best player from last year. We are willing to look at those things and make decisions for the long and short term.
Varsh. Shout out to Varsh.
Shout out to Dalton Varsho.
Dalton Varsho had a chance to win the game for the Toronto tonight. Running in scoring position, bottom of the 10th, struck out. Just saying.
Did he get a hit in that game at all?
I don't know. I'll check.
He's been tearing the cover off the ball lately. But
he has. That's true.
So has Lourdes Gurriel Jr. And I mean, of course, we're not even.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. This groin strain has kept him out for a little while now. Yeah.
We talked during the watch along a bit. We kind of talked about Jordan Lawler, obviously, just throwing it out there as a name. But do you see them doing anything that crazy, or do you see this being more of like some of these assets that are names that have been doing well, but maybe fans don't know, or maybe they're just not as highly coveted, like a high draft pick like that, like maybe a Blaze Alexander, or maybe some of these other minor leaguers like a Dominic Canzone, who don't really know when they're going to see major league time with how stacked the Diamondbacks' current roster is.
I have a hard time seeing Jordan Lawler getting moved. I just don't know if the D-backs are at the point where they're willing to mortgage the future in that big of a way.
It would have to be an unreasonable asset in return, right?
It would have to be. Oh my gosh!
Stop it.
By the way, Dalton Varsho went 0 for 5.
Okay, thank you.
It would be incredible if there was a day where we sat down to do this show and we were doing an emergency podcast
for show
about the Diamondbacks trading Jordan Lawler for Shohei Ohtani. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think the D-backs are going to trade Jordan Lawler in general. And I feel like Drew Jones is also probably off the table just so early in his professional career. It'd be a weird time to trade him. But I sort of feel like, and this is my personal speculation, I feel like anyone is on the table except for Jordan Lawler, and Drew Jones. I would be really surprised if those guys were traded. But the D-backs have a lot of depth in terms of starting pitching.
You mean farm system-wise, by the way.
Farm
Just to
system-wise.
clarify that.
Yeah, yes. Yes, thank you for clarifying. The D-backs are not trading Corbin Carroll.
This is the Corbin Carroll
They are
appreciation hour, and you didn't even include him in that? What the
Yes,
fuck?
I'm glad you clarified that. Yeah, Corbin Carroll will not be traded. Zach Gallen will not be traded. The D-backs are not going to be sellers at the trade deadline. But I think guys in the minors who have maybe even had a taste of the big leagues, Dominic Fletcher, Alec Thomas, some of the young starting pitchers that they've had come up, or guys who are in AAA. I think the D-backs would probably be willing to explore what they could get for any of those guys, because they have a lot of depth in the outfield and they have a lot of depth in terms of starting pitchers who are nearing the big leagues or have already gotten some time in the big leagues. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how they play it. That's kind of my personal idea of what they would maybe be looking to trade. But yeah, I mean, if you want a Corbin Burns, if you want a Dylan Cease, some of the names that we've seen pop up in the chat, I have a little bit of a hard time seeing the D-backs be able to pull off one of those moves without involving Jordan Lawler. But maybe it's possible.
Jesse, I got it for you.
I don't know.
I got it for you.
Uh-oh.
Dylan Cease plays for what team, Jesse?
He plays for the Chicago White Sox.
And that is in what city in America?
It's in Chicago.
Alec Thomas is currently slashing 329, 361, and
Okay,
468 with an 829 OPS for the Reno
You
Aces.
think Dad's gonna get in someone's here?
He
I'm just
happens to be
saying,
from
if there is a
Chicago.
franchise we could fleece for Alec Thomas, it absolutely would be the Chicago White Sox.
It's interesting. I really am curious how Alec Thomas is perceived by other front offices.
They love him there. He is a very highly coveted player. I have heard that directly from
all front offices.
I don't know by
baseball?
all. No. I'm talking about Chicago White Sox. I'm talking about the Chicago White Sox. The fan base and the front office, like, very much.
I'm sure they love the storyline.
Yeah,
Do
that's
they
what I'm
love
saying.
him? Dylan Cease much though.
Do they love him? Do they
No,
love him
no, they
despite the
don't. No.
fact that his numbers against
Look,
left-handed pitching in the big leagues are
look,
pretty poor?
Look. Mike Hazen traded 2 months of Luke Weaver for 5.5 years of Emmanuel Rivera, who, as I started off the show with saying, is hitting 371 with an over 900 OPS. So I am fully on board with Mike Hazen being in charge of this negotiation and fleecing the White Sox. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, and it's definitely going to be aggressive. And I think the Diamondbacks are going to make moves that they're not going to be easy. They're not going to be easy to accept, because we have a lot of lovable players on this team, a lot of young guys that we still haven't seen what their maximum, what their maximum output could be, what their maximum achievements could be as a player, right? So, like, it's going to be hard, because it's not going to be the Nick Ahmeds, and it's not going to be guys like that get moved. It's definitely going to be like a Dominic Fletcher or somebody that is going to hurt when it happens. But if it makes this team better and it makes them an actual World Series contender this year in 2023, then you got to do it. You got to do it. But let's take a look at the rest of the series. Let's not put the cart before the horse here. And see if the Diamondbacks can just win this series with the Tigers. Of course, Ryan Nelson going tomorrow, and Zach Gallen going in the finale. I still very much like the Diamondbacks' chances in this series, considering what we saw tonight.
I feel like this is a big start for Ryan Nelson.
Yeah.
Huge.
Because he is just really struggled as of late, and I don't know exactly how long the leash is. I guess we talked about before how it kind of feels like maybe the D-backs don't really have any other options in the rotation. So maybe the leash has to be pretty long, at least until we get closer to the trade deadline. But he's really struggled. I mean, in that start against Atlanta, I think he got really hyped up, and it was obviously a big stage. There was a big crowd on hand. And I think that moment maybe got him out of himself a little bit. He was maybe overthrowing a little bit. And it's been a while. I mean, I guess going back to May 23rd, he was pretty good against the Phillies. He was pretty good against the A's as well back on May 17th. There have been bright spots here and there, but by and large, Ryan Nelson has not really looked like a player who should be in the rotation of a playoff caliber team, which is what the Diamondbacks have been so far. So every start for him, I think, is pretty significant.
There's talk about Jerry being traded by Cogs, and I don't like that at all. Let's just get that. Let's delete that comment.
I don't know who you play at shortstop if you trade Geraldo Perdomo.
Get Cogs out of here.
I mean, unless you're ready to have Nick Ahmed be the full-time shortstop, but I don't think many people in this fan base are ready for that.
I don't want that. He's our risk king, and he did it again tonight with runners in scoring position.
Let's throw in Dylan Anderson in that trade, and we can move him over short.
All right, we'll see what's happening here. Anyway.
Did I say Dylan Anderson?
You mean Tim Anderson?
Okay,
I was like, is this some like shortstop prospect in the Angels system?
I was looking at Dylan Cease.
He's just combining them two together as one person. But of
Shawn
course,
just loves U of A too much. Dylan Anderson is coming to mind.
No, gross.
I said a man's name, and that person didn't even come to my mind.
You first ban Cogs in the chat and then ban yourself from this room, Damon. But
why are you banning Cogs?
Because he said something about Jerry getting traded. I don't like that.
Ryan's saying brunch baseball this weekend. It is very much breakfast baseball this weekend.
There's no brunch about it. I'm not usually awake at 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday.
He's really not. Like, he's not even saying that as a joke. I have to wait to get responses from Jesse. Just like he can't text me after 9 o'clock at night and expect to get a response because I'm already asleep. And you guys, I love my sleep. So
our sleep schedules are very incompatible.
They are very different. Yeah, Jesse's up at 3. Jesse's going to bed when I'm getting up. It's like we pass each other for a brief 30-minute period of time, and then we go about our separate ways. But if you have friends you want to hang out with and watch baseball with, make sure to invite them to a game, and you guys get tickets from our friends over at Game Time. Of course, Game Time is the best ticket app to buy tickets last minute. You shouldn't even be buying your tickets ahead of time. You should be waiting until the last minute to buy them, and you should be purchasing them through Game Time. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason, and you can snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code of PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And if you can't make it out to the game, grab yourself a subscription over at Fubo TV and get 140 live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device, and you can watch the most Arizona sports for the lowest price. You can start watching immediately with a free 7-day trial, and there is no contract, no cable, no installation, nothing to do besides just sign up and start watching. You'll also get 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge, which I tried to record our game earlier because we have the remote with the fast. You can rewind and you can pause and stuff. No DVR storage apparently on our cable provider. So I don't know. Fubo TV might be the better option. You can also watch events like the NHL Draft, NBA Finals, and so much more over at Fubo TV. And most importantly, you can watch your Arizona Diamondbacks with Fubo TV. Use the link in the description to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. Well, we thank you guys for joining us. We thank Corbin Carroll for being him with a capital H. And of course, we thank him for also being not only the Rookie of the Year, but soon to be MVP of the year. Was too early to call that race? Probably. But you can follow us all on Twitter to tell us if we are crazy or not. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. Shawn is at Shawn_DePaz. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Damon is at Damon Dog with a DAWG and a little at the end. Of course, our show is at PHNX_Dbacks, but all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate you. We'll be back on Monday with a Mailbag Monday episode and a recap of this series with the Tigers. But until then, we appreciate you guys stopping by. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you have both the Rookie of the Year and the MVP on your team.